We have 8-axis turbo the deck. I actually crap you not. It's been a little while since I've seen something like this work. We had Abyss Actors. Okay, this is just a good video for Rogue. I'm back 30% of you guys have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash so we get to 104,000. First list we have up here on your screen is an actual 8-axis deck. You're probably like, 8-axis, so we actually use like the Rake 8 good stuff here. So basically, Sword Soul stuff gives you access to Cheese Out, you know, Crimson Blader, you know, all that good stuff here, so that you can basically combo up into your good stuff here, and then you get access to your rank 8 box, which is, you know, Dragookle Boom 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 OTK, Zombie Vampire Shenanigans, Photon Lord, you know, Zeus with all these materials. You even have access to, you know, Crimson, you know, Crooked Cook in here, ladies and gentlemen. Looking at this deck, you know, this is like a Splash of Luna control, and just overall, a whole bunch of good engines present in this list. And I really do like this list, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is a very interesting take on what you can kind of do with a deck like this. So we have one, Abominable Unchained of Soul. So you can special summon it from your hand, if blah blah blah, so you can just card one other card to strike around the field. Okay, yeah, it's free monster deployment. We have Triple Alpha, 2 Ash Blossom, 2 Astral Kribo. Remember, this big old card gets the ability to be a level 8 effectively. We have Triple Dimension Shifter, because no fun allowed for the opponent. This deck very much feels like it misses Grand Manju. We have 1 Pankratops, Triple Fairy Tail Luna, 2 Godarlies, 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, triple copies of Gizmek. We have triple copies of Ecclesia, triple copies of Sauvage de Fleur. I've mentioned this card a lot as like a potential penny stonk and like future sets, but I wholeheartedly do think this card is absolutely amazing for like these rank 8 turbo decks. We have triple copies of Mo Yi, 2 copies of Tae, and then we have 2 copies of the Iris Sword Soul. Okay. We have 2 Droplets, 1 Desires, triple Emergence, and 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence here, wrapping up the main deck. Down here in the next deck, we have 1 D-Hark, 1 copy of the Zombie Vampire, 1 number 97, 1 number 90, 1 Pain Gainer, 1 Seven Sins, 1 copy of the Crooked Cookman, 1 copy of Ye Old number 38, Hope Harbinger, 1 number 100, 1 Zeus, with 1 Dingrisu, and we have 1 Chizao, 1 Final Ligma, 1 Crimson Blader, and 1 Chaos Ruler. And then we have 1 copy of Mud, 1 Starving Venom, 1 Dimensional Fissure, triple copies of Super Poly, because you know dang well you're going to need all of the board-breaking cards that you can get because of this format. We have 1 copy Macrocosmo, 2 copies of Skill Drain, 1 Soul Drain, 2 copies of There Can Only Be One, 2 copies of Evenly Matched, and 1 copy of Red Reboot here. Wrapping up, I want to say this is one of the wildest combinations of decks that I've seen, honestly, a hot second here. Next up is the power of Abyss Actors. You know what I find most interesting about this deck? Just the fact that every time Abyss Actors shows up, this card is usually not far behind. You know, we also don't have Electromite, which is one of the things when you kind of look at pendulum-based strategies at this point in time, you're just like, you know, is it a problem we don't have this? Well, you gotta remember, literally when you have a Link 1 that just gives you a zone, gives you the ability to just do what it does, I mean, yeah, it locks you into Abyss Actors, but most of your good stuff is going to be involving, you know, literally the destruction effect of this. Alright, so all things really considered here, your value is really dependent on, you know, the pop effects. So we have triple copies of Comic Relief, triple copies of Curtain Riser, triple copies of Extras, 1 copy of The Funky Comedian, 1 Leading Lady, that's interesting. We also have triple copies of Mellow Madonna, triple copies of Sassy Ruke, we have triple copies of Superstar, triple copies of Old Wild Hope, and then we have 1 Fantastic Theater, 2 copies of Abysstainment, triple copies of Rise of the Abyss King, and then we have 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet, triple copies of Mystic Mine. We have 1 Pot of Zizes, 1 Set Rotation, 1 Terraforming, and triple copies of Talents. Honestly, getting Talents value in this deck actually feels absolutely amazing. The fact that I don't think a lot of players will really know how to play against Abyss actors. So you'll kind of be able to pull some, you know, wool over their eyes and kind of take advantage of that. Because if they miss hand trap at some point here, you're just like, haha, free talents value. You know? We also have 1 copy of Wheat Witch's Apprentice, 1 Underworld Goddess, 1 Selene, 1 Anima, 1 copy of IP, 1 Geonator Transverser, 1 Dehark, 1 Apo, 1 Access Code, triple copies of Hyper Director, 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 Dark Rebellion Dragon, 1 Boguski. Then we have 1 Feather Duster, triple copies of Lightning Storm, triple copies of Dimensional Barrier, triple copies of Goes and Match, 2 copies of Solemn Judgment, and triple copies of Ye Old Summon Limit here. Wrapping up a Abyss Actor finish. I was 20th place out of the Las Vegas Regional. I think that's like worth really looking at because, you know, top 32 presences are very, very notable. Next up here is a 14th place. I believe this was out of the Dakota Regional. And once again, you've seen that Ferret Flames that we've talked about in the past year. If the combined attack of all face-up monsters your opponent controls is higher than your life points, make your opponent shuffle monsters they control into the deck, their choice, so the combined attack of all the remaining monsters they control becomes less or equal to your life points. You know, you have a deck that just doesn't really care about life points. You get to spend. Alright, and you can just laugh at your opponent as, you know, you resolve like a Ferret Flames. Now, once we get the next wave of support, this entire deck is going to undergo one of the coolest evolutions in quite some time. So this is actually a pretty cool list. So we have triple copies of Diplos, triple copies of Theresia. We also have triple copies of Lord of the Heavenly Sky Prison, 1 Miscellaneous Sarasaurus, 1 Ultimate Conductor. We have 2 Fossil Dig, triple pot of Extra, 2 copies of Dinomorphia Alert, 2 copies of Brute, triple copies of Domain. We also have 1 Reversion, 2 copies of Sonic, 2 copies of Ferret Flames, triple copies of Skill Drain. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are unfortunately a Skill Drain based deck. I'm just going to be completely honest with you, this card is really good. Especially when you can bring out this big old fusion here and actually have it remain at 4,000 attack points. Alright, also triple copies of Solemn Judgment, 2 copies of Solemn Steelrake, and triple copies of Torrential Tribute. Yeah, free float value, by the way. Feels really good. Down here in the extract, we have 2 Almirage. Basically being able to, you know, float into something else of value here is pretty good. We have 1 copy of Lagia, 2 Dolka, 2 copies of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, 1 Guilty of Gearfried, 1 copy of Draco Nethersoul, and then we have triple copies of Stealth Griga and triple copies of Kingrina. Then we have 2 Ghost Ogres, 2 Nibiru's, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, triple copies of LOL, I just super polyed away your field. We have triple copies of Evenly Matched. We have 1 more Ferret Flames here, so actually in certain matchups, if you do need the additional 1 of this, you have access to it, which is good. We have 1 Red Reboot, and then we have 2 copies of Summon Limit here. Wrapping up, well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this was a 14th place finish out of the Dakota Regional. So, honestly, is this something you want to play? I think you'd have a blast with this. The last list we have for you guys here is an Infernoble list that made first place here. TGG Gaming Yu-Gi-Oh! Posted this. So, you already know. Neospatian Connector, look at your opponent's hand, do the thing. Start combo. We have 1 Despot 001, 2 copies of Fire Flint Lady, 2 copies of Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, 2 copies of Renauld, 1 copy of Ogier. We have triple copies of Oliver, 1 Coltwing, triple copies of Neospace Connector, 1 Aqualad, then we have 1 Gemba, triple copies of Quantum Red Layer, and then we have triple copies of Durandal, 1 Call by the Grave. We're playing, holy crap, triple DDR. Technically DDR isn't a once per turn, so I mean, alright. We have 1 Phoenix Blade, we have triple Forbidden Droplet, triple copies of Heritage of the Chalice, 1 Living Fossil, 1 Metal Silver Armor, 1 Rhoda, 2 Talents, and triple copies of Imperm. Down here in the next deck, we have 1 Auroradon, 1 Unicorn, 1 Isolde, 1 Hulk with 1 Access Code. We have 1 Dracosac, we have 1 Underworld Fighter Balmung, 1 Shooting Riser, 1 Omega, 2 copies of Powered Turb Dragon, 1 Charles, 1 Roland, and 2 copies of Herald of the Arclight. Side deck here, we have triple copies of Lancia, triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyspring, triple copies of Forbidden Chalice. We have 1 frickin' Caliburn because if time comes up, you can actually cheese your opponent and gain some life. We have 2 copies of Twin Twisters and triple copies of Evenly Matched here. Wrapping up, well, some very interesting deck list, in my opinion, out of today's video. So guys, what do you think about everything? present in this. Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button. See some of us more honest content. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.